Junior here, and welcome to the new Media Lab English 101 peer review podcast where emerging scholars discuss literature of the day. Today we're discussing native author N. Scott Momaday's book titled Man Made of Words and Warner and Grint's article titled Sacred Places, and our writing assignment I Am that explore identity and place. Good morning. We welcome Eli and Jacob. How are you guys doing?
Doing good today.
It's good to be here. Thank you for inviting us.
It's a little chilly outside, but we'll make it work. I wanted to first start off by asking what was important with you guys in the Sacred Places article. Jacob, what did you think?
Well, I think it's, this modern day struggle that Native Americans are facing with the government and with society itself. This article was great because it talked about several different struggles that they're going through. They're talking about the denial of rights and access to natural resources, disruption of the ties to the environment, loss or weakening of the cultural knowledge, language, and identity. So each one of these things are key factors, or key points of their identity. I mean, when you're talking about, thank you. So when we're talking about, these things, right? Because supposedly we give them this land, right? They were mistreated. They've been mistreated for a very long time now, and they have this land. We call it the reservation. We call it a community. But at this time, or whenever that happens, we find that the government is trying to take that away from them. Something that we supposedly gave to them, that they're living there. They've been there for many years, and now we won't let them use their water, have those rights. And now that we're trying to strip away their identity and kind of cultivate them back into, normal America, this modern America that we all live in today.
Yeah. So I guess being in just a place isn't the same of your identity. I guess they're taking away both. What do you think, Eli?
For me, honestly, to be honest with you, I didn't know the meaning of indigenous person. This is my first time hearing that term, and I guess it's a shocking thing because indigenous brings is just a big thing. And what I took from it is just how the government, how dirty the government is. I was reading and it says the government, they'll make it a military bill where they have to take the land, which is crazy because it's you give the people these, you give them, they buy this land, you give them this land, and you tell them, oh, don't worry about us. And then if a mining company gives you billions of dollars, it's all about the money. So I just find it very crazy and just disrespectful to how you're just gonna take their land when you give them permission to be on that land and stuff like that. When technically they were the first ones here, so you can't really.
So what do you guys think though? Because if you think about it, us people here in America, we were foreign at first, and so what do you think about foreign people giving the indigenous people foreign land, kind of like the Indians?
I think it has to do with more. I think it has to do towards them because nowadays everything is surrounded by money. I think it has to do more towards money, and I just see it from that perspective.
I feel. Eli, he's right on the money. It's all about money, but I also feel at the same time it's about communication. I feel like there's not very good communication between both sides, because if we look at it, ever since the beginning, we've gotten here, and from the start there was miscommunication about who has what and where has when, and there was a lot of misinterpretations. And so I feel like since the beginning, we've always had this real bad communication between us, the colonists, and the Native Americans. Mm-hmm. And then until we can repair that communication, until we can really identify and understand them, until we can really communicate where's the end goal? Because at the end of the day, in order for us to succeed as the Americas, so to say, because apart from that, we're the colonists. We live with the Native Americans. We're together. At the end of the day, we need to be together. We need to have this united goal that we can, at the end of the day, protect it from other people. I think it's a major issue, this internal conflict that we share. Because in the words of Abraham Lincoln, a house divided among itself can't stand. And I know that, here in the United States, here in this land, we're very privileged with all, the many things that we have.
Mm-hmm. I guess we live with a lot of the American dream that a lot of people want. But what do you guys think about, what can we do now to help with what we did from the history of of the Native Americans? What can we do to help out now to better the society with them?
Well, I mean, we can help them, but at the end of the day, we're just gonna do the same thing we've always been doing. We're just gonna help them, and then it's just going back to like World War II. It's just the whole thing, like, you know how we just basically bomb Japan, and then we go help them repair it, and it's like, why even? We'll help somebody, and then us as the Americans, we'll just go knock it down again. So there's no point in even just rebuilding it if we're just gonna knock it down. Like, I don't see why they even do it in the first place. There's no point in it.
So yeah, I think that was such a great topic on sacred places, why identity and place was important in history. Now I wanted to move over a little bit to the Scott Momaday's article that talked about man of words. It talked about many different topics, but I was wondering if you guys had any ideas or wanted to talk about any important topics for the Momaday article. It led us to learn about the I am, and it explored our identity and place, which we could talk about our history and about our family bloodlines. So what did you guys think about the man of words?
I like how it introduced the factor of I am, because as before, I didn't really know who I knew I was all I would say is I'm African American, I'm this, I'm that. I didn't go deep into depth about it. So when I read this and I started reading like the I ams, and it was saying I am from my grandmother's, and it was talking about that, I didn't think of it like that. I just say, oh, I'm African American, oh, I'm Puerto Rican, Dominican. I didn't think of it as, oh, I'm actually like, you know, like a culture, like knowledge, stuff like that. I didn't think of it like that. So that brought the culture out of me. Like, it brought what I know about myself out of me.
I guess it could help you be more prideful.
Yeah, like go back into my past, like talk to my parents about how because my grandmother immigrated from Puerto Rico, and then my grandfather immigrated from the Dominican Republic at the time, because, you know, Puerto Rico wasn't a part of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know that until I had asked the question. I just, you know.
Yeah. Wow. What about you, Jacob?
Well, I think what Eli is touching on is a very interesting idea, right? It's the difference between expression and communication. Because in that moment, not only, I mean, he's trying to communicate who he is, but he's expressing who he is. Where does he come from? How is he? And that's what this Malay piece really touched on, is the difference between the two. Whether it's oral tradition, whether it's books. I mean, it's this exploration of, are we trying to communicate who we are, or are we trying to express? Because I feel like there's a weighted power to expressing someone or expressing something to someone.
Mm-hmm. And in the article for Momaday, he was explaining how it's important to tell the story, not just show it. And like, I really enjoyed that part, because the words that people spoke about in history is what we're going to remember. So if we're telling our history to people, like you said, Eli, we can actually remember these important identity and place about. We want to thank Eli and Jacob for coming in this morning. Thank you so much, guys.
Appreciate it. Enjoy the topics.
Thank you very much.
You guys have a good day.
Yes, sir.
Up next, we're going to be having to interview the most important peers, Colby and Nolan, who have great input that we want to listen to. Welcome to the New Media Lab Experience podcast. I'm Junior here, and I'm here with the new guests, Colby and Nolan. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Doing great this morning.
Yeah, that's awesome. So as you guys remember, we're talking about the Scott and Momaday article, and how I am exploring our identity and place was important in our lives. And also the sacred places. What were the two differences and how we can learn from both of those articles? First, I wanted to start with sacred places. What did you think, Nolan, about this article?
What I think about sacred places is, as I read the article and how it really touched me in how I identify what a sacred place is. I think every individual here and every student here has a sacred place, whether it's land outside of their community or whether it's in their home.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I took from it, and how I saw the beauty in it, and how we can make sacred places from in our hearts anywhere.
Mm-hmm. So I guess how we feel in our own home could be sacred. What do you think?
I really like that. Well, I agree with that 100%. I definitely know that there is a sacredness in the home, and if it's because of family or whether it's religion or something, that you just feel sacredness and you feel like that you belong there. And I would totally agree with what Nolan said.
Do you think that sacred place can be taken away from you?
I think we have a struggle with that, definitely, to have it taken away from us, and I think we need to fight for that and not let it be taken away.
Yeah. Me being from a background of Tonga, an island, we had to take our culture, like, it's thousands of miles away from here, and we had to keep that culture alive here in Arizona with my family. And I definitely can feel at sacred places when I'm in my house, like Nolan was saying or mentioning, or at church. So I guess it's important that we keep that identity, keep that place when we're wherever we are.
Yeah, definitely.
I like how you mentioned about how these sacred places can be taken away, and that is true because my people have lived through that. I'm Apache and I'm from San Carlos, and the reservation that I live on is not our sacred land. It's a land that was given to us and that we're forced upon as prisoners of war. And so having to be stripped away, my ancestors be stripped away from that sacred land and told that our beliefs were not right and that who we are and our identity shouldn't be there. And then to have the sacred land take away now today, so it was from back then and it's now. So I feel like people need to be reminded that it's not just today these sacred lands will be taken away. It was taken away already, and we're trying to preserve those sacred lands that are left.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
And so the Sacred Places article led into us learning more about our I ams, how the identity in place was important. So what did you guys think about the NMLE article that talked about the man of words?
I really enjoyed it because it did lead into the I am, and I was lucky enough and fortunate enough to grow up in a culture that was big on ancestry, and so it wasn't totally new to me, but it was cool to even dive deeper than I have in the past to see where I come from and see where my family came from, and to see the hardships that they went through, and ultimately what shaped myself today. And so I really enjoyed that aspect of that article.
Yeah, I guess learning the hardships of your ancestors help you to be more humble.
Yep, for sure.
What do you think, Nolan?
I think through that NMLE piece of the connection and our expression through language, and how that through our language and where we come from expresses our identity. And if we have language that expresses who we are, if you get people from all over the world, they all have their own language and they all have their own history. And if we connect that through our expressions, then we can all connect and unify together. And that's how I see this language and expressing through I am, is that once we find our identity and understand who we are through our cultural backgrounds and our foundations and our roots, then we're connected to that sacred land. So it's all this connection from expressing ourselves and finding ourselves through language. And once we find our identity, we know who we are and we know where the land and where we come from and how we got to protect that.
Wow. Can I explain it better? Thank you so much, Nolan.
That was good.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for coming in this morning.
Thanks for having us.
That's going to be it for you, our guest stars, Nolan and Colby. And definitely we want to give a shout out to Dr. Webb, who's our instructor. Thank you for helping us out with this podcast. Welcome back to the new Media Lab Experience English 101 podcast. I'm here, Junior, and I'm here with my special guest stars, Aubrey and Rachel. How are you guys doing this morning?
I'm doing good. I was late for class because I
Traffic?
put gas in my tank. I forgot last night. So
That's all right.
that's how my morning's going.
Yeah, it's a little tough sometimes.
Yeah, I was pretty tired in night class.
Yeah.
Last night, so.
We're so excited this morning to talk about this articles that were about place and identity. First, we wanted to talk about the article called Sacred Places that talked about our sacred places getting taken away from us. But Aubrey, what did you think about sacred places?
For me, that is kind of a personal thing because not when I was younger, but growing up, I heard stories of my great-grandfather, who's actually Japanese. He, during World War II, he was living in the United States, and he had to move from his land in Colorado to Arizona on the other side of railroad tracks because so that he wouldn't be put in an internment camp. So with that, it's like, you know, because of certain things, people get their land taken away, and it's not fair. Like, it's not okay.
Mm-hmm. How
And
do you?
people do it all the time.
How would you move forward from that? I guess. From the hardship.
No, you have to do what you have to do to keep your family safe. So I'm happy because it brought, you know, my great grandma here, my dad, my grandpa, you know, all of them. But at the same time, like, my life could be completely different if we still lived in if my family still have lived in Colorado.
Definitely. Rachel, what did you think about sacred places in the article?
Yeah, I mean, it's completely eye-opening. It's really, I mean, I've never been through something like that personally, but hearing your story, Aubrey, it's really touching. It's really, like, you would never think that would happen to you. And, like, the people on the reservations, like, this is nothing, like, you don't really think, like, somebody's going to steal this from you, because it's not something that just comes to your head, but you always have to have that on your radar. Unfortunately, it's really sad, but I mean, the best thing we can do is just to stick together and fight for it. I mean, this is our lives, this is our home, but I mean, it also helped me realize that home isn't a land. Home is where you and your loved ones are. I mean, home can be anywhere for anybody. I mean, that does not mean that you should go ahead and steal people's land, but that it did help me realize that you don't need a destination. You just need your heart, and you need your family.
Mm-hmm. Even though it might be hard to establish yourself in a place,
Definitely.
I think it's good that, like you said, where the family is where your home is.
Yeah.
After we read Sacred Places, we had the opportunity to read N. Scott Momaday's article, which was called Man of Words. And that explained a lot about words, about storytelling, our history. I guess, what was your opinion on this article, and how did it help you learn about your identity and your place in this life?
You know, it really had me go deeper into where my family came from. I'm of many things. I'm Colombian, I am white, I am Japanese, and there's probably plenty of others that I don't know about. I'm also African American. I didn't know that until 2 months ago. So I come from many things, and I feel like the end of Momaday's article, where he goes into who he is, helped me find out more about who I am and where my family came from and how we came to be. So I thought that was really touching to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I learned a lot about myself through this article, because I really never thought to look into what I am. I just knew that I was half Mexican and half white. I mean, I look more white than I do look Mexican, but I am. But I mean, I did ask my mom and my father, like, what am I? And they're like, oh, well, my mom calls her side the Heinz 57, because there's so much to it all. And, like, I guess, like, I have a lot of European in me. My mom's grandma was full-blooded Indian, and it's like I had no clue. So there's a lot to it. It helped me realize that there's more to a person, and
than just their name.
Than just their name and just what they look like, because you never know. Exactly, like she said that she was Japanese, and I'm sorry, but by looking at you, I would have never thought that.
Definitely.
So
Yeah.
it's really cool to learn more about people like that.
So what do you guys think, like, how will knowing your guys' history help you guys in your day-to-day life or in your future?
For my future, definitely with my kids. I definitely want a big family. I come from a big family. I have two older brothers and 2 younger sisters, so I'm right in the middle. And I feel that I want my kids to know where we come from, and like what my life was like growing up, and to just teach them about our history, like my family's history, and to let them know, like, look, this is where we came from, like, just for them to understand, because I feel like there is a lot of racial profiling and like no one would know that I'm black, but like I didn't even know, and so I feel like there's a lot that people can learn about themselves that's hidden, and all these what people tell you that you are. Like I just thought I was Mexican and white because my mom's half white, and my dad's half white, but then my dad's Japanese and my mom's Mexican, and we're all types of things. Yeah. So I felt like that would definitely, I definitely want my kids to know that.
I would like to also like further my education in it. I would love to teach my family that one day we'll have. I mean, I come from a big family too. I would love to have a big family, and I don't want our name to be lost. I want us to know who we are. I want us to be proud of who we are. But I don't want my kids to just be like, oh yeah, my mom's like a 0.5er and then my dad's like blah blah blah. But I want them to actually know who they are and what they are. And I think a big part of that is just learning more about it, and I mean finding foods that are more like that, and just getting into depth of it all. And I want that to be a big part of my life now, and I want to learn more about it all.
Yeah, that's so awesome. You guys want to keep the culture that you guys have. Thank you so much for coming in this morning. It's such a great opportunity to learn from your guys' backgrounds. But we have to go and let you guys go. Thank you so much for everything you guys done.
Pleasure.